I was like, wow, like this is a one-stop course. I was like, I've been doing this like 2 years with different resources. And I'm like, as I look at yours, like, oh my gosh, it is really a ultimate, like really all the information is already all here.
I am just really happy to have you here today, Kathy. Would you mind to tell us a little bit more about you?
A little bit about me. I work mainly as a nurse in academia. I'm one of the professors at California State University, a School of Nursing. So that's where majority of my career. But I have also been per diem, working at the bedside. I did use my nurse practitioner degree for like maybe less than a year, and I still felt that in combination with academia, it really felt like the bedside per diem agency work was really helpful. I still have hands on, and I can teach my BSN prepared students what's really out there at the bedside. So I like that combo, but also I have podcast called the Global Nurse Podcast. So it's more featuring the lives of Filipino nurses who are living and working abroad, meaning outside of the Philippines. And then just also with your Instagram post, your course, it's just really getting into that fire movement that now I am Coast FI, which I'm very happy, like it's just created that security. So, and that's partly because of all the information I also learned from your course. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, so Kathy is bringing a really unique perspective today because she came in already really financially savvy, like pretty financially secure. She was not far away from Coast Fi when we met. And so that's why I'm so excited to talk with you and have this back and forth with you today to hear about like what solutions, resources, what were you using prior to coming to Ultimate Nurse Investing that got you so far, and how long was it even taking you to learn all of this?
So I really got serious about this fire movement because I really learned about it only during the pandemic. The thought process, my default have always been save, save, save. And since there weren't any people around me that were in a fire movement in that fire journey, I didn't have any role model. But during the pandemic, it just put everything into perspective. And so my fiance that time was just saying that maybe we should really live more abroad now that we are on lockdown. Everything here in the States is just that we are so much isolated. And so maybe living abroad for a few months will really provide us a little bit of a fresh air. But I was so really like financially insecure. And I didn't know. Like, I know that I was doing the right thing. I've started my Roth IRA even in my 20s. That I know. Like, it said that tax free growth. That's one of the things that I learned in my 20s. And now I'm 45. So I already knew I was putting in the max that was 1500 at that time, 2000. It was really very small amount back like 25 years ago. But I just kept doing that. I signed up for my 401k. So I've already been doing the things that it's most of the financial books have, but I didn't know an end game. So I think that's one of the things that I have learned from your book. And one of the resources that you have provided was the book Your Money or Your Life by Vicky Robin. And so after reading that, like what? There's different types of fire, financial independence, retire early. And so the closest one that I could get that can just provide me some security was the Coast FI, which means that I've already front loaded or have already invested enough money that even if I do not add any more investment, that it would still grow, that I could retire at a traditional age. So it's basically, I was already doing some work, but I didn't know an end game. I thought that I would be working till I'm 65.
Yeah. And so what you just described is what so many nurses are experiencing. One thing I love about working with nurses is that we tend to be a responsible bunch. And most nurses, not all, definitely not all, but most nurses are already coming to me doing something. They're already doing something for their financial future. The problem is that we frequently don't actually know, how is that going to benefit us? How is that actually going to turn out for us in the future? But what you are now discovering, what you've discovered, I feel like you're there, is that you've already discovered now that you know how you're going to get there. You know that your strategy is working. And now you've found yourself in this place called Coast Fi, which is that you don't actually have to put anything else into your savings to retire, to start pulling from those at traditional retirement age. You have your retirement saved, period. And what you need from now till then is just money to cover your annual expenses. And that's amazing, because when you have that, then you have this flexibility in your life, right? To do what you want, and you can up your expenses or decrease them depending on how much income you're making that year. So that's so amazing. And one
And
of the things,
Angel, I really wanted to thank you for that. Like, all your posting and just also that direction. Because to me now, because of that, after I reached my Coast FI number, I spoke with my dean. And as of this coming semester, like in 2 weeks that it will start, I have switched from full time to part time, but still kept my health insurance, my pension. But I had so much more confidence. It was more like, you'll either be okay that I work part time and I've already screened candidates that will teach my classes, or I can go on sabbatical and then just take this whole year off. So I had so much more like, oh, whatever happens, I mean, I can go pick up shifts at the bedside and I'll be okay.
it's the confidence, it's the knowing, it's the not guessing. And that's the part that's missing so often with planning for financial independence, is it feels like it's like a pie in the sky thing, but it's actually not. We can plan for it. It's the most plannable thing, probably, because it's all numbers and money, and making sure that we have our strategy set. And that's so exciting that you're going to go part-time, and that you're going to be able to
Yes.
cover your expenses just through going part-time. So basically, for the rest of your life, you can work part-time or less, and you're going to be just fine.
Yes, I mean, like really like calculating if it was just my expenses, it's really I can basically work 75 days out of the year. Like that's really, if I'm not, and that's still like considering that my pension is still getting taken out, and the university is still putting in money. So it's not like I have totally stopped, but I was like calculating it to the dollar, to the cent. I'm like, huh, 75 days out of 365, like, yes, like, it's possible. And that's why I said, like, Angel, your course really made a difference. I reached out to you, and please, I want to leave a review.
Well, that is exactly what I'm going to ask you next, Kathy, which is, you clearly came into Ultimate Nurse Investing with a wealth of knowledge, and with a really good foundation, but still you found value in this course. And I actually haven't yet talked with you about this. And so I am excited to hear I want to hear from you about, what was it? What feature helped you, or what was that moment that you reached out and you said that you wanted to leave a review?
Yes, for me is that I've been doing this whole research, like from the time that I discovered the fire movement to my coast was probably close to 18 months, or even less, because, we've been like in contact over a year. But then when I saw your course, I was like, oh my gosh, it's all here. Like I've been like reading books, pulling this, listening to this podcast, subscribing to this, buying this course. It was like, oh my gosh, like I have put in those money. Like I could have actually just put in this amount and invested it on one course, and I could have just done it for a shorter period of time. So I mean, the course was just like a review and a reinforcement. So, like you said, I've already had that foundation, but it's almost like 6 or 9 months of studying that when I could have just taken your course and maybe really a month. It could have really like, really decreased the amount of time that I have invested because I like, I listen to it, I click on it, have my while doing some chores, at home, I'm listening to your courses. So, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was doing this like close to 9 months because I was having to use so many other resources. But to be honest, the one that I really liked a lot because it was something that was a little bit missing to the other courses was the ones about set that you said this is a no shame community. Another one is that whatever you value is what's important to you, whether that's a luxury bag for you, it is hiking. So it's just that validation. So to me, the one that I got so much, especially for those nurses out there that are already savvy financially, it is the mindset, the validation that I see you. Like it is really that thinking that whatever you value, who you are is okay. And so, and then continuing that, it's more also the abundance type of thinking because now you're like, you've reached this one. So now it's okay for you to go part-time, spend, go out, do something, go shop. So it's all that non-financial was the ones that I kind of got from your course because I've done my studying on the other ones. So that one, and coming from, you were the voice of like another nurse. I think that's the thing too, is that I've had other teachers and the courses that I have taken, but a nurse to nurse really meant so much more to me that I know, you're an NP2. And so it's just all those things. That's really just those major two things, the mindset that you have talked about, and that the messenger, which is you, is a nurse. So that's very validating.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And also, I love what you said about it's the compressed knowledge. There is no lack of information in the world now. That's the issue, isn't it? We can all find any piece of information that we want anywhere online now with artificial intelligence doing it for us. The issue is we cannot always apply it to ourselves, and we cannot always have it in one small package that's easy to digest. And like you say, yes, it's so important for us all every day to realize what's important for you to spend money on might not be important for me to spend money on. And there is nothing wrong with that, especially when you realize and you go through that values exercise and realize that, wow, that person, people inside of our program, their mindset is so different from mine. And I kind of love it because they're living such a different life from me. And thank you so much for sharing that. You talked about some things in the course that like brought it together, brought it into focus there at the end, maybe. What did you find useful? What was that?
I think the one that I really even have it like really marked was this. I think it is. I even have it in front of it is in module 2 when you said that, do you have enough? And then you did show there that how rich you are, compared to really if you go like really a higher view of like all the people, like 8 billion people in the world, like where are you? Because to me, my default is always saving. So there's that deep of like just feeling not enough, the scarcity. And then this course is really just saying that you have enough. This is where you're at. So like, have give permission to yourself to spend on things that you value. I mean, I would just really go back to that. It's like you have enough. This is the data, put in your income, and this is the percentage that you are if you're comparing it to globally and then also here in the US. And and nurses really make good money. I mean, even with me downsizing to a part-time, it is still, I'm so grateful. I tell people who would love to care and, really feel that nursing is for them. I say it is such a great career. There's so many options. So to me, it's really that value that you have enough. That was the one that was like, oh my gosh, this this was really great. So
Yes, yeah. You are right. And that's what I want people to who work with me to feel like is it's so often that we get caught up in not getting paid enough. And I am always going to be the person that says a nurse deserves a raise, period. The work that we do is so hard. And there's lots of reasons for that. One is because the work that we do is so hard, it's not sustainable for a lifetime. So we need to save a retirement way earlier than the rest of the population. And so that's really important for me to bring to this course. But the second is also for people to still realize that if we're smart, if we can be smart about it, we can save a retirement a lot faster if we just know how to do it. And so thank you so much, Kathy, for sharing. Now that you've been through the course, you've come in at such a different level. It's funny, people on different extremes. Is it too late for me to get started? Is it bad? I don't have any background knowledge, or the other extreme is I already know a lot. I'm already doing a lot. You are on this extreme. You're on this extreme of I already know a lot. I've already studied a lot. I've already been doing a lot. For all of these people along the spectrum, would you recommend it? Is ultimate nurse investing something that you would recommend to nurses now?
I would highly recommend it, even if you're in the spectrum of really know all this information, because it's a one-stop place. I mean, we want to be efficient. We know now, being coast FI, I value my time even more. That if I can get it in one place, all this information, I would rather do that rather than doing my own research, get this book, this one, listen to this podcast, like just being all over the place. But if I can already have it here, I can be doing something and be listening to it, or on my phone, if I just log in on my phone, and then while driving, it's like it is super accessible. So to me, it's a one place to get all your information. I really like how detailed you are. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I said, like, do if you were even to sell each module, it would probably be like 10, 20 times more, because that's how other courses that I have gotten is like they sell this module that you have covered and it's like $1,000. I'm like, already all here. It's all like your different modules. I'm like, oh my goodness. So it was just, I said like, wow, this is what nurses, and again, because you're a messenger that's really tapping into nurses, and not that non-nurses cannot benefit from this, but I think having the language that we know how it's like, we know what it's like to like work at the bedside, just the difficulty of all like having the different specialty and you being an advanced practice nurse. So you have those input that I think non-nurses that are teaching finance may not be able to really connect, to really empathize what nurses are going through.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I am just so glad that you've been able to be part of the program. Thank you so much. It means so much to me to have somebody that I look up to so much to be inside of the program, and somebody who's so smart. And so thank you for being inside of the program, Kathy. And thank you for doing this with me today.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you for creating a community. And I really, look forward to all the group coaching, just really listening to nurses' stories, because I do learn from them when I listen in. So thank you so much.
That is so true. We didn't even talk about that, about how we all can learn from each other so much from other different people's experiences. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, I think that's what you bring also in your course. I'm like bragging about it because it's just amazing that you can do it on your own if you're that more of that introvert type that you don't want to join group calls. But then for extrovert people like me, I like listening and then also sharing. So those group calls, really help.
Yeah, and also just good for lurkers too, because then maybe people aren't contributing, but they're back there and then they're chatting and or they're listening and taking it all in. Okay, Kathy.
True,
Well,
that's
thank
true.
you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Angel.